I'm Ellen Waltrip, and this is my perspective on Apocalypse Now. This is a movie I've watched more than a couple times over the years, and it's always stuck with me. I do feel like it's one of the best movies ever made. I agree with all the critics on that. I always get something different out of it, and this time, learning about the backstory, watching the other videos really took me to a place that I haven't been to with it before. The whole question that it raises is what is good? What is evil? What happens when people get desensitized by being around such chaos and destruction and evil? And how do you define evil? Where's the line drawn? I mean, it was different with every character. And another thing that got me thinking about was Kurtz was evil, but I think there were other people in the movie that were just as evil as him, but had not taken it to such a big scale, as much of a scale, and involved so many people. So morality is tested with everybody. Some of the things I liked about the movie, the narration I think was really good and really important because it humanizes Willard, takes us into his mind to see what he's really thinking, and some of the things that he did, we understand more why he did them. And it clarifies the story too, because the story could have been very confusing without the narration. The music is so appropriate, very haunting. I mean, it's almost like the song "The End" by The Doors was written especially for this movie. And it's a great song. I've always loved it. What I found interesting also is everybody who was on that boat had their morality tested at one point. And you saw where they were going to go with it. I mean, Chief seemed to be the most, the most straightforward. He wanted to just do his job, not break any rules. But then he asked them to search the boat for no good reason. And then that turned into a terrible tragedy when everybody on that Vietnamese boat got killed. And then when Willard, who had never, it said that he had killed 6 people total, just shot that woman really without emotion, which just shows how he was descending into madness from the environment and just the things that have been happening around him. One thing that caught me about the visuals was all the way up the river, it seemed there were always fires burning, and there was always some kind of, shooting going on or just war noises. But the fires really, that visual really, I think, added to the whole environment that the movie and, the emotion that the movie was trying to convey. And then, the situations that bordered on ludicrous were, when Kilgore raised a whole village just because he wanted to go water skiing with the famous water skier. The Playboy Bunnies, that just made no sense that they would be performing in the middle of all that chaos. And then just seeing them later on where it's like they couldn't leave. They had no home to go to, and they were supposedly selling themselves, but not, they just needed someone to listen to them. And, it was just illustrated how they were descending into madness as well. There were some emotions shown that I think really stood out because it was so rare. When Mr. Clean died, Chief was sobbing. He never showed anything else near to that as far as emotion until Mr. Clean died. Willard broke apart when Chef's head was thrown in his lap, which is understandable, except he was so just stoic through everything else, but that one just made him absolutely break apart. And even Lance, you know, he was like the child in the story. He got very emotional about the puppy. A line that caught me by Willard at the end was when he said, they're going to promote me to major, but they don't even know that I'm not with them anymore. That really struck me. Crash Course, the backstory was fascinating. I had known some of these things, but it just made me start to realize what happens in the making of a movie, how difficult it can be, you know, how nature can, you know, cause destruction and, you know, impact a movie, how, you know, the directors have to deal with the studios, and just how difficult, you know, directors can be on actors and just create, you know, just create situations where they shouldn't be doing that. They, you know, it just, it didn't make sense to me to think about what would happen where you would cause your actor to have a heart attack. So that, yeah, that was interesting and disturbing. This, as you know, I'm sure you already know, I mean, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I think it's one of the best films ever made. There's a movie called The Hurt Locker, which is another war movie that I feel like takes you into the psyche of the protagonist and puts you in that heightened tension. He's actually, the protagonist is defusing bombs in Iraq. Worth watching. And it also won the Academy Award for Best Picture. So it's definitely worth watching. Okay, thank you.